There's a moment in every season of life where you sense a door slowly clicking shut behind you. This summer, that feeling came not all at once, but in pieces, across open prairie highways, small historic towns, and in the billowing wind on our skin under the wide Alberta sky. We began our journey in Drumheller. The town I knew first through dinosaur-themed childhood trips now greeted us with its weathered downtown. I don't remember paying much attention to those old buildings back then, but now those are the details I focus on the most. I used to be obsessed with dinosaurs, and this place was mythic to me. We passed Drum Distilling and Valley Brewing, and paused just long enough to look around. I could already feel time folding in on itself, the dinosaur-loving little girl I was, and the history-seeking woman I've become, meeting, momentarily, in the same sun-dappled streets. On we went to the Star Mine Suspension Bridge. I remember walking this bridge as a child, running up and down it with my sister, the thrill of it swaying. Afterwards, I remember we had gone on to the 11 Bridges of Wayne. I always thought that name sounded like something out of a book. We didn't make that drive this time, we had a long way to go, but I noticed how different the land felt here, so dry and wild, always like it's holding its breath. The Red Deer River carves through this semi-arid valley, creating the Badlands, once ocean floor, now bone dry. It's a land sculpted by water and time. These landscapes remember. They've seen generations come and go, watched the water carve through sandstone and the wind carry away the rest. The Willow Creek Hoodoos rise from the desert floor like sentinels, their strange mushroom formations shaped by centuries of erosion, soft earth sheltered by a stubborn stone cap. The colors in the rock, ochre, gray, and rose, tell stories in layers, if you know how to read them. This region sits within Treaty 7 territory, home to the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Kainai, the Piikani, and the Siksika nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina and Stoney Nakoda peoples. These nations have lived with and shaped this land long before the colonizers came. Before it became a postcard of the Wild West, it was, and remains, a place of deep cultural and spiritual significance. The Badlands may look empty to some, but they are full of medicine, of memory, of roads traveled and knowledge passed down through generations. The river that now draws tourists once guided seasonal migrations, and its banks still carry the stories of those who lived in close relationship with its rhythms. And yet, there is still a frontier feeling here, one that's been mythologized and commodified, but still lingers. It's in the sun-cracked earth and the distant howl of the wind through the coulees. It's in the bones buried beneath our feet and the sense that survival here once meant needing wisdom. The so-called Wild West isn't just cowboys and saloons. It's the harsh, unyielding beauty of the land itself and the resilience of those who called it home long before fences and rail lines appeared. I felt how easy it would be to romanticize it all. But beneath that romance is something deeper, a land that teaches, remembers, and endures. Somewhere down the road, we pulled off into the hamlet of Dorothy, one of those places that you'd miss if you blinked. The thing about traveling with someone who's interested in the same things that you are is that the unplanned stops often become the best parts. We wandered, not looking for anything, and still found it. There's a quiet richness to the prairies that I never noticed when I was younger. Everything moves gently, but with purpose. Dinosaur Provincial Park, which I'd somehow never been to, we stood at the lookout and paused for a moment in the wind. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, this place holds the bones of the past in a very literal sense. But what struck me wasn't just the archaeology, it was the light and the silence and the otherworldly feeling of this landscape. Down below in the valley, along the scenic drive, we saw the cabin of John Ware, a black cowboy who is a very real folk hero here. And I could see how this landscape bred folklore legends. It asks for it. We ended our first day in Brooks and started the next with coffee and antiques before heading to Kinbrook Island Provincial Park. We didn't stay long, just walked the beach and waited in the shallows, watching birds skim low over the water. A kind of peaceful quiet settled over me, one that I'm always craving.
I just wanna go out and walk with you. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine, sailing over pavement with our two wild minds. I like to see the shape you're in from time to time. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine. I just wanna see the same things you can see, understand the meaning on a new degree. Maybe that could happen when you're next to me. I just wanna see the same things you can see.
Driving south, we stopped in Tabor, where we found the best antique shop of the trip, and Coaldale later for pastries. The open road gave way to the cityscape of Lethbridge, the capital of the south. We arrived in time to explore a few more antique shops before they closed and wandered the historic downtown in the golden evening light. The high-level bridge, Canada's largest railway trestle, stretches across the Old Man River and Valley.
Walk with you. Could be 20 minutes or an hour or two. Baby, you know I just like to talk with you. I just wanna go out and walk with you. Baby, you know I just like to talk.
We had a drink at Theoretically Brewing and breakfast the next day at Sonder. University towns always have a familiar energy. Hopeful, a bit restless, and a little extra upbeat.
I wanna go out and face the cold, but it's a really good time for a monologue. Can't let this pass, I find it hard to breathe.
Fort Macleod was next. I'd say come on a summer weekend if you're chasing antiques, like we often are. But even when the shops are shut, the charm of the town and the riverside breeze make it worth the detour. The town seems to stand still, a relic of an earlier time.
Someday, I rode some cross before, and someday, our ocean will find its shore.
Our next destination, head smashed in Buffalo Jump. I've always believed that you can't really know a place without learning its history. Here, we learned about the ingenuity and collaboration of the Plains peoples, how entire communities work together to steward, hunt, and use every part of the buffalo. It wasn't just a survival strategy, it was a relationship, reciprocal, respectful, sustaining. That's what I carried with me as we left. A reminder that we are all part of something greater than ourselves.
Following weeds, I'd understand I will never be that close to someone again. The further I go, the closer you will feel. Someday, our roads have crossed before, and someday, our ocean will find its shore. If you've never been this tired, then you've never been this in love. When you feel there is time for us.
Back on the road, the sky widened. Windmills turned against a backdrop of distant mountains, and I thought, this is Alberta. Not just the place, but the feeling of it, wild and vast. The place that I have called home my whole life. It's hard to describe what it means to grow up somewhere so expansive, where the land itself teaches you how to carry both solitude and freedom, shaped by prairie winds and chinooks, winter roads and harvest light. And even if you leave, that knowing never really leaves you. We ended our journey through the south in Waterton Lakes National Park. It's an international peace park, which feels especially important these days. A quiet symbol of cooperation across borders. It's sad that this has been forgotten. Years ago, wildfires swept through the park, but on this trip we were happy to see all of the new life taking hold. Everything was looking especially green. Red Rock Canyon was our first stop in the area. The cool water against our legs after a long, hot day in the prairies felt like a blessing. In the town, things are slower. Locals like it that way, and so do I. It isn't polished like Banff, and it doesn't try to be. We watched a deer wander close to a few people from our seat at dinner, unconcerned. Isn't it something how close we all live to one another here, animals and humans alike? It's important to respect and keep your distance. The wildness is something you come to understand when you've been here long enough. That evening, the Prince of Wales Hotel stood tall above the lake. Last time we were there, we were sitting in its grand old lobby when someone suddenly announced that the Queen had passed. There was an English bellhop there that, upon hearing the news, dropped what he was doing and ran to call his mum. History is a funny way of meeting you in small personal moments. That memory lives here now too, folded in the fabric of this place. On our final morning, my husband and I did a cold plunge in the lake. The hotel in the background, the mountains watching, I felt a kind of restoration that I've been chasing for months. It was a beginning disguised as an end. And maybe that's what this whole trip was. A slow letting go. A way of saying thank you, of noticing the small things I might not have seen when I was younger. Of carrying this place with me, not as a destination, but as part of who I am. Because this isn't just the place where I lived. It's the place that raised me.